We go home 3 times a year to visit family. Now, when we go home, we're usually home for just about 4 to 6 weeks. And we've had a lot of people ask us, do we save a lot of money when we're going home? And so we kind of wanted to share with you today our cost breakdown for the last time we were just home.
Yeah, now this can change. It can vary depending on what part of the United States you're from. Where we're from, it's a little more expensive. So how much of a cost savings do we really get?
Right. So the first area where we see our cost savings is accommodations. It's probably our biggest cost savings. And that is because we pay $0 for our accommodations.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
That's great cost savings all on its own. Now, how do we do that? How do we get zero for a number?
So we house sit. That is our key thing we do when we're home, because none of our family loves us so much that they want to see us for 6 weeks straight.
They do love
in their
us.
house. They do love us, but that's a long time to be in our family's home. So we usually try and spend a week at the front end, a week at the very end before we're leaving, and maybe a little bit in between. But otherwise, we're filling that time with house sits.
Right. It's hard to get your house sits lined up perfectly. So there's no gaps, but when there is a gap, we have a place to stay.
Right. So this last time we were home, we did 3 house sits, and they were all great house sits. We already have our house sits lined up, well, most of them for the time that we'll be home in December and late November and into December. You know, so you can kind of arrange that all ahead of time. So it's a really great money savings for us.
So that's the number one. That's the biggest part. Now let's get into how much we have to spend to be home.
Because that's what you're really interested in.
Okay, so our biggest expense is our entertainment. And if you've been watching this channel at all, if you've been following us, you know our entertainment includes eating out. So eating out is a big expense.
And drinking out.
Especially, and drinking out. We have to point that out as well, because sometimes we drink and we don't eat.
A lot of the time
which isn't a very good idea.
We just are, yeah.
But we do have those entertainment costs that really are quite a bit more than they would be on the road.
They are, they are, and but over 6 weeks, we didn't spend a whole lot. I think because when we're on the road, we're going out almost on a daily basis to grab a beer, which we don't necessarily maybe do when we're home.
No, you don't.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is an expense, and everything is a lot more expensive when we're home.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Yeah, I don't.
But I might more often than Carrie.
He definitely, you meet up with friends more for breakfast and lunch and stuff than I do. I don't do a whole lot of eating out. A little bit with friends and taking my kids out or something like that.
So to eat out, just to do a breakfast out from where we're from, I'm spending between $15 and $20, sometimes even more than that, depending on where we go. Now we've kind of narrowed it down to a couple spots where we know it's going to be in that $20 range. That's for a couple eggs, hash browns, and a couple strips of bacon with your coffee plus a tip. So it is a lot more expensive to do that. Now, if I do that 4 or 5 times when I'm home, that's $100.
Right. And I think that that's the challenge when we're home, is that you do want to meet up with those friends and you want to socialize. Well, we don't have a home that we're inviting them into. Right. Some of them are from out of town, so we're not going to their place. So you are meeting and getting a meal or getting those drinks, which are way more expensive at home. And so those numbers just are a bit higher. So our total for the time that we're home for entertainment was $480, which really isn't that bad because that was over a 6-week period of time. But it still is a pretty big number. Now our next big expense is our grocery bill. Usually when we're home, it's not a whole lot because we have our times when we're house sitting, but we are meeting friends out quite a bit, so that goes into the entertainment budget. So we're not buying a whole lot of groceries. But this time while we were home, and actually over this past year, all 4 of our parents turned 80, and we got to celebrate 2 of them while we were home this time.
Right, celebrating birthday parties, you go buy the barbecue, the wine, everything that goes along with celebrating an 80th birthday party. So those expenses may not be in the future what they were this last time home, but we do still contribute to the groceries while we're at our parents'. And of course, when we're home house sitting,
Right.
then there's groceries there as well. Yeah.
So our grocery bill came to $470. That is an area of sticker shock that we definitely feel when we are home, is walking into those grocery stores and seeing the prices. You know, we're just kind of used to it now. We just know and anticipate it going in. We know we're going to pay more money. But I didn't feel that $470 for 6 weeks was bad. Like we said, we do get the benefit of we are eating at families' homes quite a bit.
Yeah,
so that's a lot
sticker,
of fun.
yeah, that sticker shock is there. Sorry to interrupt. That sticker shock is there. We did a video about inflation not too long ago, and it's a real thing. So it's something that we are experiencing on the road, and we are experiencing at home as well. So our phone data plan is a lot less expensive than yours may be if you're using in one of the big carriers. But we do spend a little bit of money on our phone. I have I have a SIM card that I put in my phone. That card cost me $35.
Yeah, and I have the eSIM, which is super affordable when we go home. I paid $19 for the entire time. That included getting the first month and then topping off my plan to finish off the time that I was home. So I think that, you know, like you were saying, what you normally might spend if you are there and you say have Verizon or AT&T or whatever, your bill can be astronomical. So ours was quite affordable.
So our total cost for our phone plans for the entire time we were home is $54. Now I'm positive you pay more than that for your phone plan just for one of you. So we do spend about the same amount at home as we do on the road.
Yeah. So the next area that we have as an expense is transportation. So other than catching a bus when we are usually getting off a flight, if we're not picked up at the airport, sometimes just to ease, we just take a bus. You know, we have that cost, but other than that, we have gas for sometimes the house sits. Actually, most of the house sits that we do include a car. And so we are putting gas into that car, and then also family members.
And family members. Now, I'm sure you're going to ask, what about car insurance? We do make sure that the car owner, our parents, or the homeowners that we're house sitting for, have a policy that will include extra drivers, so we do not pay for car insurance.
Right. And we've also discussed getting a car, especially now that we're going home 3 times a year and we're home for at least a month at a time. You know, we certainly do not like putting out family, but now that we fill most of that time with house sits and we do have the availability of a car, it's a really tough one to justify having a car that's going to be sitting at home for that period of time not being used. So it's something that's still on the table, and it might happen in the future. But right now, our only bill is our paying for gas and that bus, and it came to $190.
Now, what about health insurance? We get this question a lot. What do you do about health insurance while you're back in the United States? I use Cigna Global. I've always used Cigna Global, and I have an extension put on that plan to allow me to be in the States for a certain amount of time. Now, for the 6 weeks I'm home, it cost me $210. That is much more than what Carrie is spending currently. So I am looking to switch over to what Carrie is doing now.
Yeah. So what I do is I do carry a travel insurance plan while we were on the road. It's a medical travel insurance, so I'm covered for medical, not just for like, I don't know, mishaps that happen. But then when I get home, so when we are heading home, the day we arrive home, I can then cancel that insurance, and I then have an ACA plan when I am back in the States. That ACA plan I have year round. It's not just while I'm home. And currently I don't pay anything for that. That is on a sliding scale of how much money that you make or how much you use during the year. So that is something I would highly recommend to anybody who is looking to travel full time. You may feel like that you have too much money, that you're not going to qualify for that plan, but it is on a sliding scale, and it is only accounted for how much you're using that year. So it's worth just doing the application. The application costs you nothing.
And I'm pretty sure I'm not making enough money or have enough money for it to affect me one way or the other compared to what I'm already spending.
Right. Now, also when we're home, and especially because I do have the plan when I'm home, I make sure and do any of my preventative care while I'm home. I make my appointments before getting home. I went this time and had an eye exam done. And so then I also bought contacts when I was there, because we have very much learned on the road, it's no cheaper to buy your eyeglasses or contacts when you're traveling. It's just pretty much as cheap pretty much as expensive to buy it when you're back in the States.
Easy for you to say. Now,
Really.
I got a question. So what about safety wings? Because I know you use it a little bit. And like I just said, I'm switching over to what Carrie's doing because she's done all the research. What do you do about safety wings? Are you still using it? Do I need to get safety wings?
Yeah, so that is the recommendation I would have for Brian or for anybody, is that you can carry a plan like that is going to cover you when you are traveling. You can set the dates you're going to be gone. If you do have a plan when you're back in the States, only cover yourself while you're on the road. It's going to cover any of those mishaps that happen, and then you're not having to pay for that extra money when you're home.
Right.
Because it really adds up.
So our final cost for health insurance while we're at home is $330.
Yeah, so hopefully that will come down if you make a change as well. But really, it's not bad for 6 weeks. I think most people would look at that of what we spent on health insurance for 6 weeks, and that's pretty low.
Right, and that's just it. The tricky thing about comparing our health insurance costs to say your health insurance costs is you might be paying a lot more. You might be paying a lot less. It really depends on how old you are and what kind of insurance you want.
It does vary a lot. And one thing, if you're in your 20s or 30s, you can get Safety Wing for a very minimal amount of money. But if you're in your, say, early 60s, that number is going to go way up. So I've already seen my number go up. So it's really hard for us. We do give you a number, but just don't take that number and go, oh, this is what I can get insurance for. Just go check it out for yourself. The next expense we have is our VPN and Netflix. We just carry those obviously year round. Our Netflix, we still watch it when we're home. Doesn't matter how busy we are with family, we still have our evenings and we're watching Netflix.
And the VPN we use, we'll leave the link below. It costs like $3 a month if you sign up for 2 years. Super inexpensive. And it's a necessity.
It is a necessity for sure. And one thing with that $3 that we pay, that is for multiple. So we have it on our computers, we have it on our phones, we have it on our Fire Sticks, both of them. So you can have it on multiple things. So it's totally worth the money. You can't go on over $3.
So how much does it cost us when we go back home? Now we do live in kind of a higher cost of living area of the United States, unfortunately, but it costs us $1,548 for 6 weeks.
Yeah, which is, I feel, quite affordable when we're home. If we had to add accommodation costs onto that, even just going off what we were paying for rent for a small 1-bedroom, we'd easily be adding another $2,500 to that, let alone if you were trying to do any kind of level of short-term rental, it would be way above that. So by doing that house sitting, we make it very affordable to go home 3 times a year, because a lot of people have asked us that now that we are going home 3 times a year, oh, that's going to cost you a lot of money. We do save enough that that flight is really our main expense when we're going home.
One extra flight a year is really all it is. I'd also like to point out, we don't have a power bill. We don't have a garbage bill. We don't have an internet bill.
Right.
We don't have any of those things.
Homeowners insurance, renters insurance, anything.
Yeah, we don't have any of that stuff either. So subtract all that from what you might be paying as a person that's living here full time, working that 9-to-5 job. We don't have those extra expenses either.
Okay, so those are our monthly costs that everybody would pretty much have if they were home. But now we have some miscellaneous costs that we didn't add into that monthly budget. And these are things that sometimes we have each time we're home and then some that we don't.
Now, I got a new phone.
But first fill in, how old was your phone?
Well, my old phone was six, almost 7 years old, and it still worked great.
It was due.
It was due. I had no memory left, but whatever. I got the least expensive phone I could get that had the eSIM. And that's kind of what I wanted was the eSIM, the ease of using that. So I spent $350 on a brand new phone.
Brand new, good phone. Yeah, it was a great phone. We were surprised to see, pleasantly surprised to be able to walk in and buy a phone at a place that is a brand new phone that is unlocked, not with a carrier for that price. And that eSIM, what are you thinking of eSIM?
Why? It's easy.
Yeah, we just showed up in
That's
Mexico.
what eSIM is for. It's
ease.
easy SIM, and
Sure.
it works great.
It is.
You know,
yeah, we landed in Mexico and you had coverage.
was on.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did have that cost. Now, the other cost that we always have when we go home is we have to stock up on some things.
Right.
And so we usually kind of budget for ourselves now that we're going home 3 times a year, about $300 each time we're home. That will include getting any kind of facial products that we like to carry with us, or getting some new clothing that we want to get at home,
Pair of
or
shoes,
whatever
it might be.
yeah. So we budget in about $300, and that can kind of go up and down a little bit.
Okay, and there was one other purchase that we each made while we were home this last time, was we upgraded our bags. Now, I really upgraded mine because I needed to.
Yeah, and when you're talking bags, so people don't think we didn't get away from the away luggage.
No, we still have the away luggage.
Yeah.
That stuff's awesome.
This is the personal
It was
bag.
our personal under the seat bag, or our carry-on bag. I got a new backpack, and I love it. It's a great bag. I got some organizational cubes that went along with it. Well, I didn't go along with it. I had to pay for those as well.
Yeah.
But it's been a game changer for me on my organizational skills, because now I got skills.
He's got skills, yeah. He's much more organized. And then I also upgraded as well and got a different away bag for my personal bag. Not that I didn't like the last bag I was using, but it was 3 years old, so there was little parts of it starting to fall apart.
Right.
We do use these bags every day pretty much. So anyways, we will be sharing those bags with you. We kind of want to put some time and energy and effort into them and use them before we share our full opinion with you of what we purchased. So in November, we'll be sharing all those new things that we purchased.
So we do get this question asked a lot. How much do we spend while we're at home? Well, there's your answer.
Yeah, and I think that people have an idea in their head because they're probably thinking of what they're paying per month to live in the States. So us coming back to visit is very cost effective, we feel, and very affordable. And, you know, it's not only, it's to get to see family, which is really the key reason we're coming back, family and friends, but it's also, we need to kind of stock up on some things. And like I said, it's when I do preventative care and all that kind of stuff. So it's just important to do.
Well, it's also just to re-energize. You know, we love doing what we're doing. We're not planning on stopping anytime soon, but there does come a point where it's nice just to go home and relax.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, we hope that this just kind of enlightened you on what we spend when we're back home, and maybe if you're looking to travel and you're thinking about those trips home and, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so expensive, there are ways around it to make it not expensive, and that key number one way is the house sitting. If you're interested in doing that house sitting, or even just checking it out and looking into it, there's a link down below of the company that we go to or go through that we've been super happy with. All right, well, if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. Maybe hit that subscribe button so you can follow us along, and we will catch you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.